welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. We're going to continue our playthrough of The Shared Dream. So in the last video, we left it off at the end of the day phase, but we hadn't used all of the actions for Ryder yet. We had one remaining action. One thing that I forgot to do, and many of you guys caught this, and I want to thank you for that, and that is not getting the additional conviction point that we should have gotten when we gain conviction as part of the day phase in the conviction and nightmare, where we each gain a conviction and nightmare. I should, at any time, it says right here, when you would receive an amount of conviction, you receive an additional point of conviction. So we are actually going to be up to 3 here with Ryder. Another thing I want to make mention of, guys, so that you guys understand this, is that at a certain point when we begin to start channeling into our animus, so for instance Ryder changing into the ghost detective, if we want to do that, depending on the level that we want to use, which means how many conviction we want to actually spend, these tokens are going to flip into the nightmare track. That's kind of part of the game mechanics and the balance of the game of determining when is the best time to go ahead and do that, because obviously there is a pro and a con to that. You're getting a stronger iteration of yourself, which is good. Doesn't now in this case actually the movement bumps up, so there's certain things that will change. In this case, combat movement for Ryder, but maybe with Nikki it's only one particular skill that goes up, but there's always that risk reward because you're moving conviction from whatever you spend from this row into the nightmare row. So the reason I mention that is because, based on the feedback I got from part number 1, it seemed like the best idea to do is to, with knowing full well that we're getting close and we have a lot of conviction on Ryder, it might be worthwhile to keep his nightmare level low. So it might be better for us to spend one action or his last action to rest. And that's going to allow us to remove either gain a conviction, which would be fantastic because we actually end up getting 2 more, or remove 1 nightmare. So let's just go ahead and remove 1 nightmare, because I think basically controlling his nightmare situation would be a good idea. Now Nikki, on the other hand, has a nightmare still. So, and I shouldn't say just a nightmare, she has 2. So she's more likely, when she does the nightmare test, to fail it. But we now have finished all the actions for our 2 individuals, Nikki and Ryder. All right, so with that all squared away, let's move to the night phase. So the night phase has enemies acting. We don't have any enemies on the board, so we are safe there. We're gonna go ahead and raise the taint now of all the different locations that are in the starting locations from the game. So you'll see the voodoo shop now has 5 taint, filling up all of the white spaces. The park's gonna get an extra taint, and the hospital will also get another taint. So as soon as, and it even shows here on the raised taint section of the card, as soon as you have 5 taint, remove 4 of the taint cubes and place a shadow there. So we're going to take 4 of the cubes away from the voodoo shop. 1 taint will remain. We're going to go into the bag here, and I'm going to go ahead and select 1 of the shadows, which will come out onto the game board. This one is a 1, so we're dialing it in until it shows the red. So there we go. So it's a 1. Perfect. And we're going to put that guy right here on the voodoo shop. So the one thing that happens when a new shadow comes into play is it's going to move. It's going to activate right away. It's going to move and attack. It can't obviously attack anybody because there's nobody in his space right now, but it's going to move to whichever is the closest character on the board, and that's going to be Ryder. So it's going to move like this. All right, so that's going to end the raising taint section. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to have Ryder roll for the nightmare test. So we're going to go and grab a red die. We're going to roll away. We don't see a 1. Oh my gosh, it was way too close. He passes the test. He's safe. We're going to come over here to Nikki. Now, if Nikki rolls a 2, that's going to be trouble. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Oh, a 4. Okay, so we're safe on both of the nightmare checks. So no additional, no different shadows are going to come out. Next, we have the night phase actions. So we're going to go ahead to the night phase actions over here for the Dead Serious card. It says every night phase draw a number of clown. So again, because we're on this level, we're just going to follow this. So every night phase, place 3 taint at the killer clown's location, the current one, and then draw and resolve 2 clown abilities. So 3 taint is going to be dropped on the downtown location. This is why the clown is nasty, because wherever that clown is going to end its turn going into the next round, it's going to drop more taint around the board, which is going to then bring more shadows into the game. So we've done that, and now we're going to go ahead and resolve 2 ability cards. So the first one is going to be Pure Terror. So move the killer clown to the player with the most nightmare. Oh no! That's going to be Nikki. So he's coming from the downtown area all the way to the other side to the museum. So this is not good. This is likely going to affect just Nikki. That player immediately takes 2 wounds. Oh my goodness. I think that actually, if that player ends their next turn at least 3 spaces away from the killer clown, lower the clown's terror rating by 1. If they do not, they take 1 more wound. Oh no. So that's terrible. Now let me just take a quick look here, because her health is 3. If she's taken 3 damage already, then we have to put a doubt down. And I don't think there's anything we can do to stop that. Let me just see. The Frost Orb, as an action, discard this artifact, choose a target 3 spaces away. Yeah, that's good for killing like a shadow. This is something that's a vicious card. Wow. Okay, so we're going to have to go ahead and put 2 wounds on her. And let's talk a little bit about how doubt comes into play when you gain those extra wounds. So sadly, Nikki was not prepared for the pure terror that the clown gave her by showing up in her location in the museum and inflicting 2 wounds on her there, which is brutal. Maybe the kid knew something was going to happen there, warned her, and she went there anyway, and now she technically is maxed out of her health. Now what happens in this case is the character's not dead. The 3 health now goes away, and what Nikki gets instead is what's called a doubt token. Once 2 of these doubt tokens are on her character board, then she is removed from the game. So that is very bad that we have that on her already. I have no idea if there's any game mechanics within the game. Currently, I haven't run into any in playthroughs off camera that can take away doubt that I'm familiar with, but if it's possible and can happen, I'm going to try to do it, but I don't believe there is. So that was pure terror, and man, was that ever bad. Now, it does say here, if the player ends their next turn at least 3 spaces away from the killer clown, you can lower the clown's terror rating by 1. If they don't, they take another wound. I can't afford that happening, so I'm going to put this card here for now so that we remember to get her as far away from him as possible. At least 3 spaces away, I should say, and then we can actually reduce the terror rating down by 1. We want to get into this next phase as fast as possible, so we're only grabbing 1 clown ability card. I do not want that card to come up again. Okay, so that was the first one. Now we're going to go for the second one. This is getting worse. Okay, the next one here is bleed him out. Bleed him out. So move the killer clown to the player with the least nightmare. Okay, so now he's heading over to Ryder. Oh my goodness, he's hopping around playing games with us. This is bad. This is very bad. That player immediately takes 2 wounds and 1 additional wound every night phase until they end the day phase on the same space as another player. Oh my gosh. If the player does not take any additional wounds in this way, lower the clown's terror rating by 1. Whoa, okay, so what just happened here was another 2 wounds have been inflicted. I can't stop that. It's just immediate damage. So that's 2 more wounds on Ryder. Ryder's health is 3. So Ryder now has a doubt token on him as well that quickly. That is crazy. That is brutal. Okay, so again, I'm going to keep this card close by. Normally, again, when we're done resolving these, they'll end up on the bottom of the deck is where they're supposed to go when they're done. But we want to make sure we do the second half of these to try to avoid taking more wounds. Wow, what a phase that was. Okay, so then of course we're going to take a look at this. So we already drew the number of cards that we are indicated by the level, so that's good. And then nothing else applies here, so we are actually done. We are finished the night phase action section of the night phase, and now we're going to go ahead and flip this over. Now the other thing that happens, guys, that I didn't actually do, but what happens when you actually go into doubt is your character falls over technically, and the reason that happens is because if, say for instance, well actually this really happened just now, but Nikki got hit first, so she would have gone down sideways like this when she got her doubt token because she's in doubt currently. What that means is that when the second ability card from the clown came up, even if it said, let's say that the card came up instead of saying the least amount of nightmare, it said again the one with the most, and you think it would be Nikki. No, because Nikki's laying down because she got the doubt token, she wouldn't be targeted. That's how that whole system is resolved when you've got somebody who's been hit with doubt. So technically both of our characters are down. They can't be targeted, but they refresh during the return phase. So you can see right here, doubting characters are returned to the upright position at the very first spot in the day phase order of events. So any characters in their animus form return back, plus these guys go back upright again. So just like that. Now all that's supposed to do is just stop them from being targeted, like I mentioned. So without further ado, let's hit into the next day and hope it turns out a little bit better than what just happened. Alright, so that was an absolutely brutal night phase that we just went through. We did the return phase for the start of the next round. We're going to do the echo now, which is each player drawing an echo card and replacing the current one. So this one and the confidence one that I got are going to be replaced, and we're going to grab new echo cards for each of our characters. So Ryder is going to get, this time around, Ryder has confidence. So you dodged and ducked, dipped and dived, and dodged your way through enemy lines to reach the goal. You are sure this day will end well. +2 combat. That's really good if I wanted to fight a shadow or something. And let's hope I get something even better for Nikki here. Nikki's got amnesia. You simply can't explain the constant dread you feel about your dreams, mostly because you can't remember them. You are certain they are better off forgotten. Discard 1 artifact. If you do not have any artifacts, gain a nightmare. Ah, she does have an artifact, so I'm going to be discarding this, and that's really unfortunate. Well, I guess I didn't gain a nightmare, so that's a +2, but still, not good. So this is the card I have right now. I have amnesia on Nikki, and Ryder has confidence. All right, so a little bit of a mixed bag there. Okay, so that is the Echo, Resolve, Conviction, and Nightmare. So each player gains a Conviction and a Nightmare. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So you can see Ryder's charging up the track here, and this Animus ability is definitely going to be something usable. And of course, I only get 1 this time because I don't get the additional bonus from the previous Echo anymore. Coming over here to Nikki, so another Nightmare on her track and another Conviction. There we go. Okay, this is getting scary. So that's that. Decide the action order and begin doing our actions. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to play out the 2 players and see if we can make this work. And hopefully, using the abilities from each of the 2 cards we got from the clowns, we have the ability to potentially get rid of a terror. 1 from doing this successfully, and 1 from doing the pure terror one here successfully. So we're going to aim to do that during this turn, so that we not only don't take wounds, but we also get to knock 2 cubes off this top row and start dwindling him down, so we have somewhat of a chance to take him out. He's already dinged us pretty good. We'll start off the round here for actions with Ryder. So Ryder's way up here with the Killer Clown. So we're going to go ahead and remind ourselves of the wonderful last piece of this particular ability card that he got. And it says the player immediately takes 2 wounds, blah, 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 and 1 additional wound every night phase until the end of the day phase on the same space as another player. So basically, I just have to go ahead and do that. Make sure that I land on a space with another player so that I don't take a wound. And then in essence, it allows me to get rid of 1 of the cubes off the Killer Clown. So where are we going to meet? We got to find a central location to meet. So what would make the most sense? Well, I took a look at Nikki, and Nikki's personal reflection has her needing to get to the park. So if I was able to get to the park, we could go there together. Now, you'll notice that the Taint is going to get high enough that we'll likely have a shadow show up, but at least we'll have both of us there to deal with it. And on top of that, that shadow will likely move 1 space closer to us, but won't be able to attack us that same round. So we should be just dealing with 1, likely. So the only downside is it will attack us when it spawns. So that's a bad thing. And it's going to go after when 1 spawns, and this I'm talking ahead in terms of strategy, but basically if we move both of our characters here, we move into the night phase, the extra tank goes on, we have a shadow spawn here. What's going to happen is it's going to go after the one with the highest nightmare level, and that nightmare level is going to be Nikki. So that's going to be nasty. This is so tough. We could try to avoid going to the park, but we can also heal at any time by going to places like the hospital and spending Conviction to remove health from your Animus. You can go to the DCMA HQ in order to spend. So there's multiple places on the board where you can go. There's a few that you can actually gain some health back, and these are the 2 major ones. So I should have gotten rid of that health, the 1 health, but what I didn't realize was how quickly we were going to see those 2 damage cards come around. Those were vicious, and they're wounds. You can't even defend against them. So we'll just go ahead with Ryder to start. Now I think Ryder, in order to get to here, he's going to have to use 1, 2, and this will cost him 3 actions just to get there. which is kind of unfortunate. I could channel for free in order to get there. And by channeling, that would give me a movement of 3, allowing me to only use 1 action to get there, because movement would be the only action out of that. The only downside is it would cause me to flip. I'd probably choose just to do 1 conviction to channel. I channel with my level being 1, and that would drop this right here. And then we could potentially remove a nightmare token, so that's possible. So what I could do, maybe that's what I'll do, is I'll channel myself, so like this, and we're going to flip ourselves over to the Ghost Detective board here. So I'm just going to kind of move it aside, bring this out. And there is actually a token that you're supposed to be putting here. I don't have it out at the moment, so I definitely should. But I can grab it here, actually. This should be easy enough to pull out for now. Should have had that ready, but there we go. So you can put a little symbol to let you know which one. And we have a rank ability now. We also have our move has ticked up as well. And of course, channeling doesn't cost an action, so we still have 3 actions. Rank 1 passive effect, Spirit Weapon. Any target that takes damage from the Ghost Detective also receives -2 to combat and magic for the remainder of that turn. So I'd have to hit something in order to give that type of effect to it. The other thing too, our Animus ability, let's just see, for the first rank 1, it's called Flashback. As a free action, play this card immediately upon failing any test. Take a magic test, and then retake the failed test with a bonus based on the result of your magic test. So that's kind of cool. So we do have the chance to do that later on if we happen to fail a test that comes around. So now that we've channeled, that might make sense to do so. So we also are going to take our miniature here and replace it, because we've now channeled. I just also knocked all the taint out of the hospital, so let's put all those back. So our character has now switched out, and we're going to go ahead and spend some actions now. So now that we've done this, I'm going to go ahead, I think, and I'm going to move 3, because that's the whole purpose of what I just did. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. And the reason I'm getting there again is because I plan to meet up with Nikki so that I can remove a white event token off of the Killer Clown's terror track. It's the hope anyway. So I'm here now. That's 1 action to get there. I'm going to use another action to rest, and this allows me to remove a nightmare. So I'm going to try to get my nightmare lower, because I don't want to have the risk. I want to reduce the risk of seeing 2 shadows show up there, because if 2 shadows happen to show up there, which there is a strong chance, because if both of our characters are in the same spot, you're going to see how those basically combine together to raise the total level of the shadow to the next level, and it can potentially turn into a Reaver, which is a whole other fun situation. But you know what? That's part of the playthrough, and I want to show you guys that. I don't want it to happen necessarily right now, but we also want to progress the personal reflection. So I'm going that route. So we've got ourselves the park. We spent one action to move, 3. We spent an action to get rid of a nightmare, and we technically have 1 more action left. So I could technically remove another nightmare if I wanted to be really, really safe. And yeah, you know what? It might make sense to do that. Yeah, you know what? I think it does. Let's go ahead and remove another nightmare so we can kind of get on top of the nightmare situation. So now my chances are very good that I won't roll with Rider. So now we're positioned here nicely. The next thing we need to do is we need to, and let me just make sure here it says, at the until the end the day phase on the same space into the player. Right, all the way down the bottom. So we still have the chance for Nikki to get up there and be able to do that. So Nikki's going to go now. Nikki, do you want to channel? You could channel as well. If you did, you could get there. Does she have the ability to move 3? Yes, she does if she channels. So that would get her 1, 2, 3. Now, what is her card all about? Because her card is likely a little bit different. So her card for the Pure Terror, we read this earlier, but I'll read it again. It says, if that player ends their next turn at least 3 spaces away from the Killer Clown, lower the Clown's Terror rating by 1. If they don't, they take a wound. So if we were in the park and the Killer Clown's over here, 1, 2, 3, we would be at least 3 spaces away, which is kind of why I wanted to go there, because it worked out perfect. So we're going to do that so that we can knock off 2 cubes from this Killer Clown's terror track. So let's have Nikki convert herself into the Animus and find out what her stuff's all about. And again, I'm going to likely do the same thing I did with Ryder. I'm going to probably be resting a lot in order to, instead of actually going after the park's, what personal reflection, I'm going to probably try to knock down her nightmare. So here we go, we're channeling. So I'm just kind of moving this out. I don't want to knock things off the table. Okay, there we go. We also need another star. So I'm going to grab one of those, put that here. She's in this form now, so we're going to go ahead and flip her miniature out. This is the first time both of them have channeled, so that's pretty cool. This is her miniature, by the way, if you want to see it up close and personal. That's pretty awesome. So she's now at the museum. And what is her passive effect? So this says, you may attack an enemy from an adjacent space. Whenever you do so, gain +1 to combat. Pretty cool. So if she happened to be within 1 of somebody, she could actually do some damage. She's not going to be by the time she gets to here and have to stop here, then attack, and then move afterwards. But her nightmare's out of control now, so I really need to rest and bring that down. Let's find out what her Animus ability would be, because maybe this has something that will help us out. So her rank 1 is Rocket Thrusters. As an action, play this card and immediately take a free move action with 2+ movement. What? That's crazy. This free move action ignores all stop signs. Oh, that is incredible. So it kind of makes sense based on her suit here. So that would mean that now that she's channeled, she's got 3. This is a free action with +2 movement, meaning she could move up to 5. So she's extremely agile and can get around the board very quickly with her rocket thrusters. So this is nuts, and it's free. That's even better. So we're going to basically move her here for free. Actually, here's the question. Do we move and have her attack, seeing as she's got the passive ability for attacking? Might as well try to take the shadow out while it's there. I don't see any reason why she shouldn't as she goes by. She kind of gained herself the ability to do this. So if I was to move her here for free, and then I use her passive ability, you may attack an enemy from an adjacent space, and whenever you do so, gain +1 to combat, because normally you cannot do that. So this is giving, it doesn't let you attack for free, you still have to spend an action, but you're getting +1 to combat, so that's tempting. So if we do this, we're going in, and we're already in our Animus form of 6, so that's extremely good odds. We're up to 7, so that's pretty awesome. Yes, there's absolutely no reason why I shouldn't do this. So we're going to go ahead. So we already did our free move here. Now again, remember, channeling is free. That was free. We moved to here using our rocket thrusters, which is the rank 1 card. This is you just play this card and boom, you can move. It's a +2 movement, plus my move is 5, so easily able to make it there. But we stopped, and because we're stopping, we can no longer use that free movement anymore. We're going to use an actual action, one of her 3, to attack now. When we do this attack, we gain +1 to combat. We have 6, so it's going to be 7. We have to roll these dice to determine what our initial rating will be, and we're really just looking for a 1. That's all that this shadow is right now. It's fairly weak, so we should be able to do this. So even with a terrible roll like that, where it's -1, with a 7 going in, that's going to revert it to a 6, which is far more, in a way, what we need in order to kill this thing. So this thing has been blown right off the map, and we're going to throw 2 damage on it, so it is gone. So we just took that shadow out without any issue. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use another action now to move to here to the park, and while at the park now we're going to rest, and we're going to take away that nightmare token that was there. So I was planning on just booking it to the park and removing 2 nightmare, resting twice. But because, you know, I wanted to get rid of one of these shadows off the boards, because again, if that shadow happens to come here and then eventually land here and a taint goes up, it could turn into a reaver. So it's just better to get it off the board when we have this really cool ability combination with Nikki. So we've now officially done all of her actions for Nikki and for Ryder, so now we're going to move into the night phase. But let's not get too excited. Let's go ahead and resolve these cards here. So we're going to go ahead, it says right here, if we end on the same location at the end of a day phase as the same space as another player, if that player does not take any additional wounds in this way, lower the clown's terror rating by 1. So we're going to do that right now. So boom, successful event token taken off of the Killer Clown's terror track by Ryder. So this card has been resolved and can go to the bottom of the pile. And it was the first one, so that would be the one that would go underneath first. And then next up is going to be the Pure Terror card. So this Pure Terror card says, if that player ends their next turn at least 3 spaces away, which I did, from the Killer Clown, lower it again. So there we go. Boom. So we're making headway here, even though we were hurting pretty bad off the start with getting those doubt tokens on both characters. I actually still can't believe that happened so fast. But it just goes to show how important it is to keep track of your wounds. So going to the hospital, the DCMA HQ, is important to try to spend conviction to get rid of your damage. Now, with those two things resolved, we're going to move into the night phase. So the night phase comes around, and you can see here that we're going to actually activate our enemies, but there are none on the board. Fantastic. Because we killed one off thanks to Nikki and her amazing shooting. So she has done that, so that is done. We're going to move to raising the taint. So this is bad. Actually, it's really bad because it's going to actually impact a couple places. So first off, the voodoo shop gets another one. The park now has 5, so there you go, and the hospital goes to 5. So, and again, remember, when you're raising the taint, you're only raising it for the starting locations that were specified in the scenario. The only way that these other areas will go up in taint is if the clown happens to land on them and drop more taint on them. So I'll just show you guys that again. All locations listed on the starting taint section of the scenario card have their taint increased by 1. So we're going to go ahead and remove 4 taint from the hospital and leave 1. We're going to go ahead and remove 4 taint from the park and leave 1. And we're going to have a whole bunch of fun as we have to spawn 2 shadows into the game, unfortunately. So we're going to go ahead and grab 2 from the bag here. Really hoping these don't... So the first one will go here. I haven't looked. So this one is a... Is it a 1? Yeah, it's a 1. So let me fix that. So it's a 1 on the dial. So it's here with us. And then we've got this one here. This one is a 1 as well. This one will be, oh sorry, this one's at the hospital. Oh, those are really close. Okay, so now what's going to end up happening is they're both going to activate. So first off, this shadow here is going to basically be attacking us. We'll talk about that in a second. And we already know that it's based on the nightmare is the one that he's going to focus on. So we know it's going to be Nikki. It's going to be taking this defensive action against him. He's not going to move. For the other shadow, it moves and attacks, but it can't attack, so it'll just do it moves and attacks, but it'll move if it can't attack. So basically it's going to move to the warehouse as it heads towards us. All right, the time's come for Nikki to defend against the shadow. So this is the shadow right here. You can see the damage of 1 and the combat score at the very top in red of 1. So the 1 is what we need in order to successfully defend. And so we're rolling a blue and a red die. We don't have any extra bonuses for defense as of right now between any of her powers and being in the Animus form. So we're going to go ahead and roll these dice, and we're going to kind of be crossing our fingers hoping for the best here. We need to get at least a 1 in order to, an indifference, or at least be a positive 1 in order to successfully do this. So that is not good. So that is going to be a 4 minus 6, which is a negative 2. And that's not what we wanted, so that is going to be a damage against Nikki. So that's something we're going to have to deal with, and we're going to have to get her to the hospital, because if another card ability comes up and gets her here, this could be bad, bad, bad. Okay, so that was resolved. That attack's resolved. Again, this guy here is not going to attack. It moved. That's it. Next up, we're going to go ahead and, let's see here. So we did our raising of the taint. We did our activations for spawned enemies. We're going to do our nightmare test. This is fun. So here we go. So nightmare for Ryder's pretty straightforward. I have to roll 1 in order to screw up. And I got a 2. Man, he is cutting it close. That's too many times with that 2. And Nikki over here is going to roll. And she got a 6. Thanks goodness. Thank goodness she got a 6, because she had a really, she had a 50-50 chance of screwing up there. So she managed to not screw up. Now, if she had rolled a 3, 2, or 1, it would have caused another one of these shadows to spawn in this space. And instead of it being another shadow, all it does is it ticks up the power of the shadow that's already there and makes it more powerful, which is even worse. So I'm not going to do that until we actually see it happen in the gameplay. But basically, it just makes your life a little bit harder going into the next round. So now we're going to do our night phase actions. We all know what this is about. It's going to be about a clown. So first off, every night, place 3 taint at the killer clown's location. So the high school now is a target for the clown. So we've got 3 taint showing up at the high school. So he's really getting around here, dropping his taint everywhere. So it is kind of a, this scenario is very much a race against time, because the taint is just accumulating like crazy, and you're really trying to knock this terror track down. Now we're going to go ahead and resolve clown abilities. First one for rider that's pulled. I guess it's not specific to any one character, but it could be based on the text. So move the killer clown to the player with the least conviction. That's going to be Nikki. But at the end of the day, it's both of us because we're in the same spot anyway. This is bad. Oh no. That player immediately takes 1 wound. Oh my gosh. So Nikki just took a wound. So good thing it wasn't 2 because... yikes, that was close. So we did a drive-by shooting of us, basically, is what it says. That player immediately takes 1 wound. That player also cannot move or act until another player ends their turn on the same space. Once they do so, lower the... oh, so that's gonna keep Ryder stuck at that location. Oh, it's terrible. But the good news is, if he stays there, we knock off one of the cubes, and then going into the next future rounds, we're only grabbing 1 clown ability card going forward. But still, that's really bad. All right, let's go to the second one here. Oh man, please don't kill us. Okay, so move the killer clown to the nearest location without taint, and then add 3 taint. Okay, that's nice. If there is a nice one, it's called peekaboo. That's fun. So it says move it to the nearest location without taint. Well, technically the only 2 locations would be the warehouse or the bottoms up bar. So I guess I got a choice here. And because I got a choice, I might actually choose to have the warehouse be the one that gets it, because it says right here in the text, might be hard to see, it says all anima, which is basically your regular character form, not your animus form, in the warehouse are ignored by all enemies except nemesis when determining enemy movement. So it would be cool to put it here because we could go there anyway and hide. And, oh, sorry, that's actually... oh, that's just when determining enemy movement. It doesn't actually stop the combat. Ugh. In that case, what do we do here? Bottoms up bar is sacrifice 1 conviction and take an event cube. You may spend that cube to gain +3 on your social test. Maybe we'll dump it at the warehouse then. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll put the 3 taint at the warehouse. We obviously have to move the clown there as well. Oh, this is actually bad because that's... I see how this is going to pan out now because we've just moved him there, put him 3 on the next round. He's going to go ahead and place 3 taint. It's going to spawn when they're guaranteed. At least the good news is we'll be close by, so I guess that's a plus. There's already a shadow here though, so that's a problem. We're going to probably have to get rid of that, or that shadow's going to get even stronger. So there's another actual thought process too. Maybe we don't want to do it there. Let's move him to the bottoms up bar, because otherwise we're just actually making that particular spot even worse for ourselves. So because we get a choice here and they're on either side, I'm gonna put them over there at the bottoms up bar. Okay, so we have now resolved the 2 ability cards. So now we must return our characters back to their regular form, their waking world self form. So we're gonna have all these guys retreat back to what they once were, coming out of their cool bodies back to their regular selves, not as powerful or as exciting. So we're gonna go ahead and pick this sheet up here and put it right back on top. We now lose the ability that was here. That's gone, and that's all reset wonderfully. Same thing over here. We'll just take the token off, put it aside. We'll grab Nikki, move her over like this. Return this up like that, so she no longer has this card available. And we're good. Okay, so we have returned everything. Now we're going to do echoes. So both of these echoes are gone. And we're going to go for the next echo. So the next echo off the deck for Ryder is going to be Feeble. The shadowy figures in your nightmare keep you off balance and dizzy. Upon awakening, you feel rather uncoordinated. -2 combat. Not what we want to see when we're surrounded by a whole bunch of shadows. Next up, we got Touched. Okay, an ancient being was pleased by your act of generosity. They grant you a token of their favor that has traveled with you into this world. Cool, draw an artifact. I'm okay with that. Let's see what we get. Oh my gosh, we got a rifle. That's amazing. An impossibly strong weapon used in future wars. This rifle gives the enchanted soldiers from its dreamscape greatly improved range and deadly accuracy. +1 combat and +1 damage. You may attack an enemy up to 2 spaces away. That's fantastic. So that's amazing. That's going to be so useful for Nikki, and we're going to need it because we got shadows everywhere. She's going to be doing the attacking this round based on the fact that Ryder is feeble. So now we're going to go ahead and up our Conviction and Nightmare. So we're going to pop this up to the next level. Put another Nightmare on him. Do the same over here with Nikki. So Nikki's Nightmare is now at 4. That's really bad. So, if I'm remembering correctly here, Oh, this is really bad. I actually want to grab that clown ability that we got, and I believe it was the one that was the drive-by. Yes, so I'm going to keep the drive-by one out. I returned it back to the deck at the bottom, but I should have kept it out because it's important to reference this when we go through continue through the day phase, when we get to the actions, because I got to remember that I don't want to, let's see, the player that melee takes a wound, least conviction. Yeah, so I don't want to have Nikki leave here, but that's okay because Nikki currently definitely won't be going anywhere. She's got the weapons. I'd rather have her stay there and just shoot away. And so this is going to work out really well to remove this last terror token. Okay, so with all that done, we've now gained our conviction and nightmare for both of our characters. We're moving to the actions. Moving into the actions phase, one thing to note here on this drive-by card that's very important in the text, you can see it right here. It says that player also cannot move or act until another player ends their turn on the same space. So Nikki can't do anything, moving or acting at all, nothing, until somebody else ends their turn on her space. So I have to start with Ryder, which is fine because the turn order has always been Ryder first and then Nikki, but remember that turn order can change when you're playing this with other people, if you play it with multiple people, that type of thing. So Ryder needs to go first regardless so he can end his turn on her space, thus allowing me to go ahead and take away the last terror cube. Okay, so going into Ryder's turn, I think channeling would be a good idea because we need to get his combat up because he's already feeble. I'd like him to attempt to take out the shadow that's in the same space. If he can at least do that, Nikki can take out the one over here. And hopefully we can maybe draw some other artifacts or knock down some of our nightmare. Maybe Nikki could even, if she activates, be able to continue her personal reflection, which is the whole point of being here. So we'll see how this pans out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip this over and we're going to get Ryder back into his animus form. So we have to remember that this is a free action. So the Ghost Detective is back on the case in the park. Okay, and we get that rank 1 ability. Now, if I remember correctly here, we had this magic test, but I didn't do a test. So that's the thing. You can see here, as a free action, you play this card when failing any test. I never got to use this last time because I didn't do a test. So we'll see kind of how this pans out this time. Maybe we will. I don't know. And we also want to put a star on the first rank here for the Ghost Detective. So any target that takes damage from the Ghost Detective also receives -2 to combat and magic for the remainder of the turn. Okay, it's not bad. So let's go ahead and try to knock this guy out, I think. So we got Ghost Detective is combat 5, -2, so it's a 3. So it's a 3 bonus going in on this attack. Channeling is free, so right now I'm going to go ahead and use my first action to attack and hope that I can do this. I only need 1 difference anyway. Oh, that's a fantastic win. That's easy. So that's a straight kill. Nothing to see here. Boom. Gone in the first hit. That's fantastic. Okay, so we've cleared out the shadow from the park area, so that's good. The next thing that I want to do is probably knock down his nightmare because I don't want to spawn any more shadows that are going to waste any more actions for us. 2's not bad. I have to stay here regardless. Can I do anything in the park that's useful? All anima that start their day phase at the park receive an extra conviction. Oh, I missed that. Well, let's give ourselves an extra conviction. I'm okay with that. So, sorry guys, we'll give ourselves that right now. Good thing I didn't totally miss it. So we both are going to end up with an extra conviction when we start here. It's fantastic. But yeah, I can't... What else can I do here for a player? I got move. I don't want to move. Can't attack. Because I don't have the ability to shoot further than 1 away. Like Nikki can shoot this shadow, but I can't with Ryder. Reflections do not apply. I could draw an artifact. That could be worth it. Yeah, that may not be a bad idea. Yeah, let's draw an artifact and see what we get. Looking Glass. The magnifying glass of a legendary sleuth known for his uncanny ability to piece clues together. As a free action, you may spend 1 conviction to look at the top 2 cards of any deck on the table and replace them on top of the deck in any order you choose. That's fantastic. I can do that right now. It's free. Which one do I want to do that to? Maybe the artifacts. Let's take a look at the artifacts. So, because I mean, I think that makes sense. Let's see if we can get something that's actually useful for us. So this one here is the ever-burning candle, stolen from the altar of a benevolent goddess. This candle never melts, it never goes out. Discard this artifact to remove 1 doubt point. No way you can! I never got this card the first few times I played this, so that is huge. Yep, I'll be putting that on the very top. Once per day phase, you may use location as a free action. Not as good. Definitely want the doubt token on top. So let me just make sure I'm doing that right. You can replace them on top of that deck in any order you choose. Yes. So I'm just putting it, making sure the doubt one is on top. That's awesome. So good to know. There is a chance to get rid of doubt tokens even when you take them. We're gonna need all the help we can get. All right. So that is him, I think. That's everything. So I channeled, and then I went ahead and I attacked. So attack is 1. I removed a nightmare token, and I picked up an artifact. So that's all 3 of my actions burned. And then, of course, I used a free action of the looking glass in order to take a look through a deck. So he is done. He ends his turn here, and because he ends his turn here, I am able now, this is once they do so once another player goes ahead and ends the turn on the space, then I can reduce the terror rating by 1. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce it now because I ended my turn there. Nikki is free now to take actions, which is awesome. This card's going to go on the bottom of the clown ability deck. If I can pick it up, there we go. And we are going to move forward with her. All right, so we're going to go ahead now with Nikki. So Nikki is going to do a bunch of things this turn. I have so many things planned out, it's insane. First, we need to get rid of this silly shadow that's here because we don't want it to get any worse. On top of that, she needs to get to a hospital ASAP in order to get rid of the damage she has because she has 2 damage, and if it goes to 3, she's dead. Another thing on top of that is we also would like her to advance her personal reflection, and we would also like to be able to move for free. We know she has those cool boots that can kind of fire her, or it's like a jetpack or something. What was it again? I forget. It's horrible. It was a rocket thruster. So we know she has rocket thrusters, so if we use those, we get a free action, a free movement, which can take her from here to here, which is cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to channel her right now. So we're going to channel her, which is going to give her a nightmare of 3. That's really scary, but I don't mind it per se because I think this is the right time to do this and to risk it. This is because I'm trying to push for a lot of stuff in one round. So again, this says you may attack an enemy from adjacent space. Whenever you do so, gain +1 to combat. We also have the gun as well on her, so she's going to go into it with like 3. That's going to be a crazy combat. And we have, as an action, play this card and immediately take a free move action with +2 movement. Now that's something that's very interesting. Let's see. Let's do a... I think what we're going to do is we're going to actually have her go... No, let's do her personal reflection while she's there. I think that makes the most sense. So basically the personal reflection was her. Remember the child that was in the park? So we're going to go ahead. Your reflection continues at park 1. So we're going to do a reflection action. So we're going to park number 1. So we're going to grab that card from the deck, which is right on top. I'm going to see if I can get this off without knocking everything off the table. All right, here we go. So, Child's Play. You only make it a few feet into the park before you hear laughter coming from behind you. Take a movement test on a 0 to 4. Oh no, this is not good. So, oh my gosh. So, this is hilarious. Okay, so basically, if we get a 0 to 4 on this movement test, we're going to take a wound. We are going to die because Nikki's going to take her second doubt token. If we get a 5+, then it says we take a favored weapon card from the Dream Fragments deck. That sounds amazing. So this is risky. Now her movement value is 3 on this check, and the rocket thrusters I don't think count towards that because that's you use it as an action, so I don't get that. But I have 3, so I really need a good roll off this. I need there to be at least a 2 difference. It needs to be 2+, basically. I need a 2 in order to make this equal up to 5 or more. So please have a 2 difference in the positive side of things. There we go, look at that. So a 3 and a 1, so that's a 2. Wow, I can't believe that actually worked out. That could have ended her right there. That was super risky. So you, let's actually read this out because it's actually really cool how that just panned out. So, you only make it a few feet into the park before you hear laughter coming from behind you. You defiantly avoid the clown's attack, causing the clown's knife to get stuck hilt deep into a tree. Left without his weapon and the element of surprise, the clown sinks off with preternatural speed, defeated for the time being. Take the favored weapon card from the Dream Fragments deck. Your reflection is complete. Nice! So I actually completed the whole thing for her. That's awesome. So you guys got to see that from start to finish all the way. So that's amazing. So the other cards that we didn't get to see, there's like a part 2. So there's other things that can happen if you do it in different order and things like that, or go through it a different way. So that allows replayability. But this is going to give me a artifact from the Dream Fragments deck, which is specific to the scenario. So I got to try to see if I can find this here. So where is this one? It is the favored weapon, I think. Yes, this one right here. By claiming the clown's favorite knife as your own, you have vastly reduced the power of its attacks. You do not take any wounds from the frenzied clown's attacks. Nice. So when the clown eventually turns into the frenzied clown later on, when it gets down to the end, we're not going to take any damage from it. That's huge. And sorry, I'm from my understanding, it's just Nikki that's going to not be taking that damage. So that's a huge boost. Okay, so the personal reflection, that was the first action. The second action is going to be to probably move to the hospital, I think. Now, I'm realizing now I'm not going to be able to get rid of this shadow, and it's going to attack me, and I really don't want that to happen. I could move, shoot. Yeah, I can't risk it. I can't risk the clown coming and hitting me. I have to go 1-2 to the hospital, and I have to use a conviction in order to get rid of the. Have to use a conviction in order to get rid of the health, because it's just way too risky with her being that high up there. So there we go. So that is her full movement. So I wanted to make an attack on the shadow here, but we just don't have enough actions for it. But it's something that I will look to do next. The other nasty thing here is we're likely going to be dropping a shadow in my spot, which is not the best. But she's healthy now, at least for the time being, so we'll see. Oh, and also, when we go into the next one, we're only pulling 1 clown ability, so hopefully that helps us a little bit too, so it's not as nasty. Okay, so she's done, and he is done. Oh, and by the way, guys, my apologies. I never actually swapped out the miniature because they're both in their Animus form during that round, so they both should be in their miniatures. And I did it correctly for Ryder, but I never switched over Nikki. Okay, so Nikki. All right, so that is it. That is the end of all the actions, and now we're going to move to the night phase. So here we go. So enemies are going to act. So because we weren't able to kill this shadow, it's going towards the one with the most nightmare, and that is going to be her, sadly. So it's going to be an attack, and there's a damage of 1. I have to just make the combat score of 1, and I'm rolling a blue and red die here, hoping for the best. Ugh, that was not good. So I actually take a damage. It's unfortunate, but at least I am able to take a damage, so that's a plus. I could have been killed. All right, so that's that. Now we're going to go ahead and do the raising of the taint for the original 3 spaces. So that's going to be the park, the hospital, and the voodoo shop. All right, so those 3 are all up. And now we're going to go ahead and do the nightmare test. So the nightmare test for Ryder is 2 or less, and bad things happen. Nothing. Awesome. For Nikki, she needs to basically roll a 6. So the chances of this actually paying out for her are pretty slim. Oh, are you serious? Maybe I should start saying that all the time. I should just be like, oh yeah, it's pretty slim. It's not going to happen. So that's amazing. She just avoided the shadow showing. So I guess, again, guys, I'm not going to be able to show you guys another. I was hoping in a weird way maybe that would have actually happened so I could show you guys how this can bump up. It might happen later on, but it doesn't today. So the nightmare tests were both a success, and now we do the night phase actions, and we know that the killer clown, wherever he is going to drop 3 taint. So 3 taint on the bottom up is going to be 1, 2, and you can't put any more, so everything gets reduced, and there's 1 left. Boom. So another shadow is going to show up here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Got a 1, so another one shows up there. Okay. And on top of that, we pull 1 clown ability card this time. All right, horrific laughter. So we've gone all the way around. The killer clown moves to the park. And then every player must take a social test. Every player. So he moves here. Every player must take a social test. If any player fails, all locations with Taint receive an additional one, and all players take a wound. Ugh. Players pass the test. Oh, we get to lower. Okay, so there's a chance good things could happen here. There's a chance. We also remember we have this rank 1 flashback thing here. So it says, as a free action, play this card immediately upon failing any test. So I could use this during this test if I fail the social test. Take a magic test and then retake the failed test. So let's go ahead and take the social test because that's what we're supposed to do first. If we fail it, then we can try again. So here we go. So it is a social test of 5. We are currently at 3 with our Ghost Detective. We have no other bonuses. So we're hoping for good things here. That's not good. So that is a -4, and then the 3 would bring it to -1. So it's a failed test. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use this right here. It says take a magic test, retake the failed test. So take a magic test. So basically we'll do that right now. So we have 4 plus whatever we roll here, which is -1, so we got a 3. So it actually gives us a +2 going into, it says here, retake the failed test and with a bonus based on the result of your magic test. So we're going to have a bonus of 2. So think of our social being 5 going into retaking this social test. So we have 5 already, and we passed it this time because we got a 2 plus 5 would be 7, and that's higher than 5. Boom. So we passed that test. Great. It says here, if any player fails, okay, so far that's not, if all players pass the test, we lower the clown's terror rating. All right, so it's all up to Nikki. Nikki, if you pass this, we get to knock another cube off them, so you better do it. Her social, thankfully, is 4, so that's a little better. So here we go. Come on. Oh, no. So that's bad. I don't think she has anything that can change that. She's all about combat. She doesn't have any abilities that can really help her in that other way. So in this case, it's a fail. It says if any player fails, all locations with Taint receive 1 additional Taint, and all players take a wound. Oh my gosh. That was terrible. Okay, so the Rider's got an extra damage. Nikki's going to get an extra damage. She's got 2 again. And it says every location with Taint receives. So this is where every single one that has a piece of Taint on it gets more. So we get a Taint here at the park. We get a Taint here at Bottoms Up Bar. We get a Taint at the voodoo shop. We get a Taint at the hospital. This is bad. Things are escalating a little quickly here. 1 Taint here at the high school and 1 Taint downtown. That was a terrible, terrible card to fail. It was bad. Okay, and that is it. That is the night phase for this particular round. So we're going to wrap right back around to the day phase, but this is where the video is going to end. We're going to stop right here, and we'll start the day phase in the next video. Guys, I need your suggestions and help. Take a look at the game board here. This is how it currently looks. We've got the clown here in the park with our Ghost Detective. We have our Cleo, or CLEO, which is called a Cybernetic Law Enforcement Officer. That's what Nikki turns into right here. The Shadow's in there with her. We got lots of Taint in the hospital area. That's bad news. And then we got the Bottoms Up Bar. The Voodoo Shop has some Taint. Downtown, we've got a bunch of locations with 4 Taint, which is really nasty because these could all just spawn a whole bunch of shadows and we could start getting a little overwhelmed. We did manage to get the favored weapon out of the clown's hand, so that's going to help us later. We also did manage in this video to clear out the entire top row of the terror track. So the next goal is going to be to clear out the next line of terror. That's going to be our hope. And maybe, if I'm lucky here, I can try to get Ryder back to McAllister's investigations and finish his personal reflection. We also are going to likely need to heal again with Nikki at the hospital while she's there because she's got 2 wounds. If she takes another damage, she's getting another doubt. She's out of the game. So many things to think about, so many things to do, but I really like this. There's a lot of intertwined mechanisms in the game that are really cool, and it really opens up. And it's interesting. I really like it. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Hopefully this is showing you how the game is played. I'm really hoping that it doesn't kill me in some way so that I get a chance to show you guys how the shadows are going to turn into Reavers, which is a whole other situation with the Dark Magic deck and Reavers. So Dark Magic deck ties into Reavers in most cases. So when a Reaver comes into play, you pull a Reaver card, tells you what type of Reaver it is, you put the miniature in play. It's typically when a shadow basically becomes super overpowered because more of them spawn in the same spot, and then you're grabbing dark magic cards, which obviously make your life a little bit tougher. So I want to show it to you, but I really like not to if I can avoid it. mainly because I'll probably have a hard time winning the scenario if too many of those guys show up. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about what we should do next. I'll give you a quick overview of each of the characters here and where we currently sit. And I'll see you guys the next episode. Thanks again for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.